Hello, the farmers, the growers who are directly associated with us, as well as those who are indirectly associated, as well as the citizen of Nigeria. We, as a responsible corporates, are with you during this tough pandemic duration. We are contributing our bit, whatever we can do. Like we distributed free food packets, those who are really impacted with this COVID. We created and contributed for creating health facility and health services in and around our operating area. So in that continuation, we thought let's our head of a medical facility to interact or share his thoughts and opinion about this disease and how to prevent, because prevention is always better than cure. So he's going to talk about the condition of a pandemic in Nigeria, how we can prevent these disease, how can we save ourselves from this disease. He will also talk on the options for building your immunity, because immunity is one of the most crucial and best option available for overcoming this disease or keeping yourself away from this disease. So he will also talk about some of the your lifestyle, and he is going to talk also that how indigenously or from your kitchen, what all those things which you can eat for enhancing your immunity. So let's hear and understand about this pandemic impact, as well as the problem, and how you can prevent yourself from this pandemic. So over to Dr. Basu. He is heading our medical facility and he's putting his best effort for overcoming or fighting with this COVID disease.
So good morning, everybody. So I am Dr. Basu. I am the head of medical services at Indorama Petrochemicals and Fertilizers in Port Harcourt. So I'd like to give you a brief overview on the overall pandemic situation of COVID-19 in Nigeria and how it has flagged up and how the challenges it has provided us and how we have dealt with it. So to start with, this pandemic is there for almost a year now. It's almost a year that the whole of the world is been affected by this pandemic. It has infected each and every continent of the world. And Nigeria is no exception to it. We have got our own share of infections. The total number of infections that we have got till date is around 100,000 infections, 100,000 people who are infected. Number of deaths were around 1,300. So it's not like we have been infected to a milder scale as compared to other parts of the world. But to start with, we as a company has done a lot to prevent this pandemic, especially in Nigeria, and also to prevent our own employees and our stakeholders against this pandemic. There are many measures that we started taking right from the beginning of the pandemic. That's from approximately in March, April of 2020. What we started is that we had given our employees all the favorable environment in which they can work, as well as they can prevent themselves from this pandemic. Few things that we all should understand and implement is that the main ways to prevent from this infection lies on our own. We have to be careful, we have to be responsible. Wearing mask, hand washing, social distancing. These are the three main points that all of us have to do if we want to save ourselves from this infection. Apart from that, the other measures that is very important is to test yourself, because as the more you test, the more you know whether you're infected or not, and the more you can take precaution and not spread the infection to others. As a company, to start with, we have done a lot as far as the testing is concerned. Initially, we we tried to start our own lab, but till the time it took us to start our own lab, we donated some equipments to River State University Teaching Hospital, where they had a lab and they could start the testing there itself. After that, we started our own lab. Presently, we have two molecular labs in which we do around 500 to 600 RT-PCR tests per day. And till date, we have done over 40,000 tests of RT-PCR. As far as our own functioning is concerned, we have made it mandatory for all the people coming in our complex to get a test done before they start their work. Even our own employees, we have a schedule of testing for them. Like everybody, irrespective of the fact whether they are sick or not, we test them in every 14 days. So all of them are tested, and only those who are negative are allowed to come in. Why we do this? We do this because there are a large number of patients who are asymptomatic. So the asymptomatic patients, they don't have symptoms, but they can pass on the infection to others. So in order to prevent this infection from spreading, it is important that whether you are symptomatic or not, it is important that you get tested and know your status. Same way, for those who fall sick and those who have symptoms, we have also created a isolation center. Our isolation center is one of the best in Nigeria. We have around 22 beds in our isolation center, which even have two ventilators, other measures of central oxygen supply, of pulse oximeters in each bed, for ABG machines, whatever is required for a state-of-art ICU that we have built. So these we mainly use to treat the patients who are symptomatic of COVID-19. Now to talk of like what are the signs and symptoms, like how will you know whether you have whether you're infected or not. There are a few cardinal signs which are not different from other infections, but which are very much prevalent in COVID. So the main, as most of you must be knowing most of them, but still to reiterate, fever is one of the important signs. Apart from that, there will be cough, running nose, loss of smell and taste, and at a later stage, fall of saturation and breathing difficulty. So basically what happens is that this infection infects us through airborne method. It infects us through when we breathe in, when we come in touch with any virus which is in our hands, and then the infected hand we touch our mouth and nose. So through that the virus can get infected in our respiratory tract. It mainly infects our respiratory tract. Once the virus get infected, then it generally takes around 5 to 7 days of time to show off the symptoms. And then once the symptom starts, then the disease takes its process. Now, it is not important that once you get infected, you will get a severe infection. There are various factors which depends on the severity of the infection. It is generally seen that people who are elderly are more affected by this virus. For elderly people, the severity of the infection is more. And similarly, those who are diabetic and hypertensive or any other comorbidity, they have the chance of getting severe form of infection more than those who are young and healthy. So this bracket of population has to take more precaution than others. Now, to start with precautions, like as I told, wearing of mask all the time whenever you are going out, whenever you're in a public place, whenever you're meeting somebody is very important. Apart from that, frequent hand washing is very important. You can even wash your hands with normal soap and water. That is also good enough. And if you don't have the access of soap and water, because you may not have it when you're in transit or you're in some place where there is no access to water and soap, for those periods, you can use your hand sanitizers. Hand sanitizers of any type which has got more than 70% of alcohol base is good enough if you use it to kill this virus. Third thing which is also important is social distancing. This virus, they don't travel far off in the air. So the maximum distance that it can travel is approximately 10 to 14 feet, not more than that. So even like a distance of 2 meters and 2.5 meters of distance, if you can maintain from anybody, then your chances of getting this infection is becomes minimal. So my advice would be like, during this period till the time the pandemic is there, we should try to restrict our movement to bare minimum. We should not go out of our house or workplace if it is not required. Of course, we cannot do away with necessary movement. There are some movements which are required. Like, we cannot bring a nation to a standstill for more than a year's time. It's not practically possible, because apart from preventing somebody from getting this infection, somebody has to earn their livelihood, somebody has to eat, support their families. But at the same time, we should try to restrict it to bare minimum, in which our contacts with others are minimum. And even if we have contacts, we should follow all the precautions, like don't go to a crowded place too much. Even if you have to go to a crowded place, make sure to wear a mask, make sure to wash your hands frequently or use a sanitizer whenever you are going out and when you're coming back home. And another important thing is that don't go out and don't meet others when you're sick. If you're having fever, even if you don't know what is the cause of the fever, if you're having running nose, don't go out of your house. Stay isolated, stay inside, stay away from your family. In this way, even if you have an infection, you can able to prevent others from getting infected from you, because you may be young, you may not be having any comorbidity, any other illness. So you may not have a severe form of infection. But if you infect to a person who is having a comorbidity, who is an elderly person, your parents, your somebody elderly at home, so you may infect them and they may have a severe form of infection. So it is important for us that not only we prevent ourselves from getting infected, but also we prevent others from getting infection from us. So these are the few things that everybody should understand and should try to implement. There are many changes that are coming in this virus. So it is a fast evolving virus. We call it some mutational change. Actually, any virus that comes into existence, they do change over a period of time. And the same thing we are seeing with this virus also. Now, with change of time, what is happening is that there is a new strain of virus that we have come across. It is a new variant of COVID-19, which has been found in UK. The difference in this virus is that it is almost the same as the previous one, but in the virus there is something called a spike protein, an envelope around the virus, which is a special kind of protein. So there is some changes in this protein. So what these changes means to us? The changes in this protein in the virus makes the virus little more infective. So the new strain of the new form of COVID-19 virus is little more, like it's almost 50 to 70 times more infective than the previous one. There is also a new strain which is found in Nigeria as well, and that also, though we don't have enough studies to say that how effective it is or how much it is more effective than its previous variant, but we obviously for sure know that it is more effective. Whether it is more lethal or not, whether it will cause more deaths or not, we are not very sure of, because still very early days. But again, all these are information and scientific knowledge that we get from various studies. But at the end of the day, we have to follow and stick to our principles of preventing ourselves. That is wearing masks, that is hand washing, that is social distancing. So even if it is more effective or not, even it is less effective, but if we follow all these measures, it will protect us from getting infected. Now, as far as Nigeria is concerned, in Nigeria, the government of Nigeria and the NCDC has done a tremendous job till now, and it's continued doing it. Like we are able to curb this infection to a very good desirable level. If you compare it to other parts of the world, many developed countries as US, as Europe, as other parts of India and other countries, our rate of infection is much lower than others. But at the same time, there is always phases of this infection. We have seen that in many countries it has come in phases. It comes once when there is a peak, and then infection falls down, and then there is a other peak. So this is common with any viral infection, and it is happening with this also, because there are various factors that are involved in transmission of this of the virus. So the same way in Nigeria also, like presently, from the month of December 2020 and January 2021, we are seeing a second spike. So we had a spike in around May, June, July of 2020, when there was a huge increase in the number of cases, and the same type of spike we are seeing again. And what happens is that as this pandemic is there for a long period of time, almost a year, people do become complacent. There is something called pandemic fatigue. People becomes relaxed. They become fed up of following all these norms. But it is important for all of us to be energetic, to be responsible, and not to think that this is over. It's not over yet. We have got some few months yet to travel more, to take us out of this pandemic. Though nobody in the world is sure of how long will it take for us to control this pandemic completely. But this is for sure that it is not over yet. We are still in the midst of the pandemic, and we are still seeing a spike in Nigeria. So it's very important for all of us to protect ourselves, to use our mask, to use social distancing, and to test ourselves as much as possible. Whenever we are having any symptoms, please stay at home. Please don't go out. Please don't meet people, and try to get yourself tested. And as a company, as a corporate, as a responsible corporate in Nigeria, we are taking all the steps that are required in order to control this pandemic. Like, we are testing regularly as much as possible. We are testing for everybody, like whoever in River State can come to us, and we test them for free. We have made an isolation center, which is a state of art isolation center in which we can treat the patients who are having severe form of infections. And we make sure to implement all the measures for all our employees as well as stakeholders. So be safe, be responsible, don't be complacent. The pandemic is not over yet. We may have crossed a fair distance in winning over this pandemic of COVID-19, but there are still efforts which is required from our side, and we will try to play our part as a responsible corporate, and we want all of you to know about this infection, to be responsible. Make sure to wear your mask, make sure to wash your hands or sanitize your hands, make sure to maintain social distancing. Thank you. Be safe, and very soon we will come over it and win over this pandemic. Thanks a lot.
So you heard him about what is the disease and how it is changing, and how you can follow some of the precautions by which you can keep yourself away and your family away from the infection. We He is now going to talk on some of the measures which you should follow. Means some of these advices, which is a preventive kind of a taking medicine, some of vitamins, minerals and all, which is helping in boosting your immunity. So let's hear on that, how you can enhance your immunity.
So one thing more which I would like to add on to all these measures of preventing ourselves is our own immunity. Because how we fight against this virus, how we recover from this infection, is from our internal immunity. Though there are some medicines, there are some drugs which help in the acute form of infection, but the main thing is our body's own ability to fight against this virus, which helps us to recover from this infection. Now, to talk about our own immunity, there are certain things that we can do which will obviously help us to boost our immunity. So, the boosting of the immunity, what we can do is that taking enough fruits and vegetables, which is very important, having healthy diet. Then supplement of vitamin C is very important. If we take like 500 mg of vitamin C daily, it helps us in making our immunity strong. Along with that, enough exposure to sunlight is also very important. That helps us in building up vitamin D in our body. We can also take weekly dose of vitamin D supplement. That will also help us to boost our immunity. Apart from that, vitamin B complex is also useful, but they comes third in the priority as vitamin C, then vitamin D, and then vitamin B complex. So basically, all these multivitamins help us in boost our immunity. Apart from taking medicinal supplements which improves our immunity, there are also many ways in which we can boost our immunity by taking our normal food which is available and normal supplement which is available. Like though these are not very scientifically proven ways, but use of turmeric is very good in boosting our immunity because they also contain a very high amount of vitamin C. Ginger and garlic are also very good antioxidants. They also gives us very good immunity boosting are very good immunity boosting measures. Apart from that, there are certain other medicinal plants also, which give us like cardamom and cinnamon. All these, if we add to our food, or if we can add, if we can make a caucasus out of this green tea, so they are all very good immunity boosters. So these immunity boosters, if we take it regularly, they also help us in building our immunity. It is also important to note that our hydration should be very good. If we have good hydration, then our immunity is always good. So always make sure to drink enough water throughout the day, not to fast, not to keep yourself hungry for long, because if you keep yourself hungry, you are not getting enough energy and your immunity is also coming down. So multivitamins, vitamin C, your turmeric, ginger, and other medicinal cardamom and cinnamon, all these caucasus we can make and drink, and eat healthy food. Eat healthy food and make sure to drink well. Make yourself hydrated throughout the day. Use of alcohol and smoking is something which is a complete no-no in this period, because these two things helps us to bring the immunity down. And also smoking especially, they gives a they damages our respiratory system, and this virus also infects the respiratory system. So as far as possible, we should refrain from these activities.
Yeah. So one more thing is, apart from immunity, one another thing is the stress. Stress also severely impact your immunity system. So let's hear from him how you can enhance your immunity by following some of the lifestyles like interacting, like drinking or sleeping hours. So let's hear Dr. Basu on that also, and that also you can adapt in your lifestyle to keep yourself away from this pandemic.
Apart from this immunity boosting methods, there is also an important thing that I should emphasize to all of you. This is a time of stress. Everybody of us, we are going through a lot of stress from what will happen to us, what will happen to our family members, how will you earn our livings, what will happen next. So all this stress is also plays a part in our immunity. The more we are stressed up, the less the immunity of our body becomes. So it is also important that we should de-stress ourselves. And to de-stress ourselves, we should all indulge in activities which are which we like to do. It may be watching a movie, it may be playing some games. And also it is important to have 6 to 8 hours of good sleep, because if you sleep well, then your mind get relaxed, and when your mind get relaxed, you can de-stress yourself easily. So that is also an important part, to make sure that your mental state is also very healthy. Make sure to talk to your friends and families. May not be a physical gathering or a physical get together. It can be over technology, like over internet, over Skype, over phone, over various other audio video platforms. But make sure to be connected to everybody. To be connected, when you are connected to the people you love, the people you want to be with, it always helps to reduce your stress level by quite a bit. So that is also an important part which all of us should take care about. And that in the long run also helps us in building our immunity and helps us protect us from getting this infection.
So I think this whole information is worth and fruitful for you. We tried our best to put together some of these preventive measures, some of those immunity boosting tricks, some of those lifestyle tricks. So if you follow all these things, so our effort will be fruitful for us, that we will keep our Nigerian citizen away from these kind of a pandemic infection. So let's join hand for overcoming this tough situation, tough pandemic impact on our life. So we are always with you. So anytime you can approach our field staff if you have any query or any issue. So not only related to your farming, if you have any issue or anything related to medical issues related to COVID, you can reach to Dr. Basu through our field staff. So we are always at your doorstep for serving you in a better way. So thank you. Enjoy your day and keep yourself healthy, fit, and away from this COVID infection. Bye bye.